Sylvia Olson, and I'm a second-year PhD student at UVic. I'm studying the history of Aboriginal on-reserve housing, and my thesis instructor is John Lutz. I'm obviously a returning older student, and I've been working in the field of on-reserve housing for many years. So I have I did my MA here, and I studied Native White Relations, but I have lived on a reserve for 38 years, and I've worked in housing for several decades. And so it came to be that I decided that we need a history of on-reserve housing because it hasn't been written. Well, historically, it's important to Canada because on-reserve housing, we have a lack of decolonization in Canada. So our houses on reserve are still being delivered by the federal government, essentially. The housing funding or financing is all funneled through, not through the government, but through processes of government. So on-reserve housing has a very particular, very specific history, and it's a history that nobody really knows. And therefore, there's a lot of misunderstanding in Canada about what on-reserve housing is about. I am a children's author. And that arises from my being a storyteller, and that there are tons of stories that I want to tell. And I decided 11 years ago that instead of telling stories, I would write them down. So I started writing, and I've been publishing kids' books ever since. Still on the theme, because of my life on a reserve, still on the theme of how we cross-culturally in Canada get along, or don't. The book is called Counting on Hope, and it's a historical fiction set in 1863, set on Cooper Island, one of our Gulf Islands. It's one of BC's gunboat affairs. It's a very exciting story. It got nominated for the BC Book Prize, but it actually won the Victoria Book Prize for children, and that's the Bolin Book Prize because that's our local bookstore that sponsored that prize, but it's the Victoria Book Prize.